everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today, this is the first video in a series of my curriculum choices for the 2018-2019 school year. So instead of doing my curriculum videos based on subject like I've done in the past, I'm going to do them based on grade. And so I will do my third graders curriculum, then my soon-to-be first graders curriculum, and then my kindergartners curriculum, and then I will do the electives such as history and science and those things. So this video is going to be the curriculum for my my soon-to-be third grader. So basically, you know, the math and language arts part of it. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started for math. So for math, we're sticking with Singapore Math's primary mathematics. We are using the US edition. Let me move some of this stuff here. And I know that as a third grader, technically he should be in, let me move the table a little bit. I don't want to bump the camera. He should be in book 3. But we got a little behind last year. We got about 6 months behind because for the past year and a half, I have been dealing with a lot of like lack of energy and anxiety and depression and a lot of things, and it was really hard to keep up with homeschooling, and it got to be so bad that I was like, as soon as I sat down, whether it was in a chair working on school things with them or you know, sitting on the couch, I would fall asleep just automatically. And finally went to see my doctor, and it turns out I have sleep apnea. And not only do I have sleep apnea, in the 30 years, because he's an ENT, that he's been practicing, he said that mine was in the top 10 for worst cases he's ever seen. I quit breathing like something like 190 something times in an hour, and my pulse ox would drop to in the 50s. So now that they've diagnosed me and I'm on the CPAP, I got on it in October. This spring semester has been great. We've been trucking through, doing great, but my kids have gotten behind because of me, and that's fine because my son will be able to, he's great in math, and so a lot of this stuff that we'll be doing here, he's already kind of doing on his own. So we'll get through this quickly, and if we get through this before the end of the school year, then we'll just pick up the book 3. So I wanted to take you through some of this after that little spiel. So this is, okay, so we'll start out with 2A. So this is the Home Instructor's Guide. And then you also get the textbook and the workbook. We don't use the textbook a whole lot just because he's kind of like, I don't need it, which is fine. But we still do use it. I try to use it to kind of give him a visual before we actually move into the math part. So I'm going to show you what the instructor's guide looks like. It's a little bit different from the book, the 1A book. So it gives you kind of the general instructions. It gives you a weekly schedule. This is a little bit different because 1A and 1B don't really give you a weekly schedule per se. And obviously, this is just a suggestion. You know, do what your kid's comfortable with. And here is the suggested weekly schedule kind of broken down. So for instance, week 1, you would be doing unit 1, numbers 1,000. And then it shows you the text pages, the exercises, the materials you'll need, and the mental math. And so this is kind of nice if you plan out ahead. It's already kind of planned out for you. Like I said, you may have to hang out on a topic for a little bit longer, but it at least gives you kind of a goal, because if you move ahead quicker, then you move ahead quicker. But this is kind of a nice way to make sure that your pacing is what it needs to be. So it gives you the whole schedule. So it gives you up to 16 weeks for book the first book, 2A. Then it talks about additional materials that you're going to need. And then it gets right into the first unit. So this is lesson 1. It basically tells you what you're going to be doing. And then it jumps down in here to talk about kind of the materials and the things that you want to do to kind of give them a visual for what they're going to be learning. Questions you can ask when you're using manipulatives. It shows the learning tasks that you will use, the workbook exercises, and then you move on to lesson 2. And it's the same thing. It gives you like a manipulatives activity or a hands-on activity, and then you jump into the workbook or the textbook learning, and then the workbook learning. And that's kind of how it is all the way through that book. It has mental math stuff in the back so that you can copy that or just pull it out if you want it. It gives you the answers, so that's nice. I know some people don't use the Home Instructor's Guide. I like it for the additional resources. I'm pretty good at math, and so, I mean, 2nd grade math I don't need help with, but I like, because we all learn differently, and so I like that it gives you additional resources to kind of give your child a visual before you jump into that topic, so that you make sure that they know what you're doing, you know, before they have to do the exercises. So the textbook, I like the textbook because it's very colorful. So for instance, in the first lesson you're learning about numbers to 1,000. So they have these little diagrams, like this says, how many crayons are there altogether? So you have 8 10s and 3 1s, and you're talking about place value, and they give you a few problems to kind of do before you start with your workbook exercises. And then in the workbook, it's not color, but I like the way that the pictures are and things like that in the book. So this would be exercise 1, so it's about numbers to 1,000, so adding and place value and all of that stuff. And you know, the lessons are not, they're not overwhelming. For each lesson, you're not doing a whole lot of busy work, which is nice. It's just enough to grasp the lesson. You do have the mental math to supplement. We have flashcards and different things too, but if he's grasping it, I don't feel the need to make him do worksheet after worksheet after worksheet over the thing. I feel like, you know, if he understands it and he's showing me he knows how to do that, then we're good to go ahead and move on. So we have absolutely loved Singapore math. It just kind of happened, I happened into it because our very first year of homeschooling, we used Heart of Dakota, which is an all-in-one curriculum, and this was the math that came with it. And I'm so very thankful that it did, because I love, love, love Singapore math. I really do love this curriculum. And I purchased mine off a Rainbow Resource, but you can purchase it off their website too. Also, throughout the lessons, there are reviews. So you do so many lessons, and then there's a review on stuff. So you can make sure that, you know, you can use it as a test, or just to make sure that they've grasped all those concepts before you move on. So that is 2A, and 2B is pretty much the same thing. So you have your lessons and your teacher's guide. So that's the teacher's guide. You have your textbook. You can see here we're getting into more geometry and stuff toward the end of this. Money, lots of multiplication, fun things like that. And then the student workbook. I love too that primary mathematics doesn't necessarily focus on memorizing facts. You know, they're not going to have the child memorize all of your multiplication facts, your addition facts, your subtraction facts. They focus more at this point on understanding the concepts behind those problems. So when you're multiplying, you know, what is it that you're doing? You're having two, you know, if it's 2 times 3, you've got 2 groups of 3. Learning that stuff and solidifying that before you kind of work on those facts. And like I said, we have flashcards, and if you didn't know it, like, I literally learned all of my multiplication facts through Schoolhouse Rock when I was a kid. You can access those videos on YouTube. They have them all, and my kids think they're funny, and they are funny, but, I mean, those songs are catchy. They get stuck in your head. It's a good way to learn those things. So, that is my math for my soon-to-be third grader. Moving on to language arts. So, you know that we are using the good and the beautiful. We are moving on to course book level 1. The levels do not correspond to the grade. So level 1 is not a first grade level. This is much more a second, third grade level. So we started with book K last year, actually in January, just to make sure that when I switch curriculum, I want to make sure that they don't miss concepts. So we started at book K to make sure he got everything, and then we're moving on. He finished book K within like the semester. So he very well could finish this one within the first semester too. If he does, then we'll just bump up and do the next level. So level one, there's the at a glance. It covers phonics and reading, grammar, usage and punctuation, literature, spelling and writing, and art. It's a daily checklist, so it kind of gives you an idea of how you should lay out your lesson. You have the table of contents. And about this course, all of their courses kind of have this little about this course. Talks about what this course covers, an overview, principles behind the course, let's see, commonly asked questions, items needed for the course, the reader level 1, how to get started, how to teach each day, spelling, making it work with multiple children, thank you notes and letter writing, and parent-teacher read-alouds. So all of that is covered. It's very thorough. So lesson 1, So each course comes with phonics cards. They're little yellow cards. They're pretty much exactly the same as the All About Reading or All About Spelling cards. So you'll get a set of yellow cards. You have sight word lists to go over and spelling word lists. And it tells you at the beginning of each of these how to kind of go about. Sorry about that. I got a phone call right in the middle, wouldn't you know. Anyway, so but before the phonics, sight word, and spelling sections, it talks about how to utilize those in each lesson. There's the poetry memorization, and then this is lesson 1. Usually there's a couple of review lessons before you really get into all of the new stuff. So this is vowels and consonants, short and long vowels, stuff they'll probably already know. And there is, on the website, there is a pre-test to know what level your child should go in. So that's always super helpful. But like I said, the first couple lessons are review, going over different phonogram reviews, and then you kind of get into the new stuff. And I really like the good and the beautiful because it's never the same thing every day. There are different types of activities. Even the worksheets are not boring for the kids. I like that they incorporate the art. This is a program we kind of happened upon, and it has just worked so well for both of my kids. I can see them improving so much since we started this. So at the back of the course book, and throughout the lesson, you'll see this. There are reading assessments, and they'll tell you at what times to use the reading assessments. So here's the course reading assessment A, reading assessment B, silent E, practice chart, soft C, and G practice chart, review chart A, review chart B. So there's a lot of supplemental things in the back. So that is the course book, level 1. And like I said, you get phonics cards with it, which I don't have with me. And then you also get these mini books. And it'll tell you in the course when to use them. It has some instructions how to, you know, cut them out and fold them. But they're just literally 8 little pages. So you cut them out, you cut on the red line and then fold them and put them together. And these are just little stories that they read throughout the course. And they're usually supposed to read them more than once. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. It just depends on when they're reading them. If it's something really easy and they don't have trouble reading it, we don't necessarily read it again. But you can tell, you know, this course, the reading is a lot more more mature. I mean, you can see, not mature, but you can see, like, these are big paragraphs. So those are the level 1 mini books. And you have the level 1 reader. So this is the level 1 reader. And it'll tell you in the course when the child should read these stories. And there's usually sections throughout here. There's probably, let's see. It's usually divided up into a few sections. Let's see if I can't find it. But anyway, you can see that the reading is a little bit longer, but the pictures are super pretty. This is why I chose the print version. You can, you know, have the courses, you can have them PDF, but I really like all the pictures. So that's the level 1 reader. It's pretty hefty. Okay, so I know that the Good and the Beautiful, the language arts course, covers spelling, but I wanted to go ahead and beef up his curriculum a little bit more, and so I'm starting with Spell Well Book A. And so in the cover it has the instructions for the pre-test and then instructions for weekly spelling. It's pretty straightforward. There are 15 lessons, so depending on how often you school or how often you do spelling, but it's pretty classic to where these are your spelling words, and you copy them, and then you have your pre-test. You have activities throughout the week using those words. And it says like Wednesday's homework, Thursday's homework. And then you have your pre-test, another pre-test, and then like making corrections. So let me see if I did that right. Oh, those are the other ones. Okay. So anyway, you basically have your words, you write them, you do the activities, and at the end of the week, then you do the test. There's alternative homework at the bottom. Also, if you need a little bit more instruction on those words. But the activities are different each week. And the word lists are not long, if you can see that. And some of these words it'll be pretty easy for him, but I just wanted to start here. Here is the Book A word list, and there's even a little progress chart over here. But if we get through this, which I'm sure we'll get through this before the end of the year, we'll just move on to Book B. And then we're also doing Wordly Wise. So on top of spelling, I wanted to kind of make sure his vocabulary was being taken care of. And we've never used Wordly Wise, so I'm excited about that. So there are 15 lessons in this one as well. This is the introduction about how to use Wordly Wise. Lesson 1. So here's your word list. It says study the words, then do the exercises that follow. So here's the word, and then there's some exercises. The word, the definitions, and some exercises. And you do all of that, and then there are activities to do once you've learned those words. So there's 1A, 1B activity, 1C, and then 1D. There's some reading comprehension, and then there's a vocabulary extension and a lesson 1 review, and then you move on to lesson 2. So it's pretty thorough. I'm really excited about that. Not only did I buy this, I didn't buy the teacher's instruction, but I bought the test booklet so that I could test him. It's a very simple bubble test. Just, you know, find the definition. So I figured that would be helpful for him. Make sure we're on the right page. So there's that. And then for handwriting, we are doing Printing Power, Handwriting Without Tears. So I have the Printing Power book, the teacher's guide, and I actually purchased the Printing Power Plus, which came with the Kickstart Cursive. So this was together. These two were in the Printing Power Plus, and I had to buy this separate. But the teacher's guide, because I haven't ever used the teacher's guide, and I kind of wanted to. I wanted to do it a little bit more legit than I have been. So once again, for most curriculum, you have the kind of about this curriculum pages, how things are designed and set up, the lesson. It's very thorough. We don't have like all of the manipulatives that come with this. I didn't feel like that was necessary, but I definitely wanted this. Some teacher support, and then into about how to teach handwriting, spacing and holding the pencil. Here's the scope and sequence, teaching guidelines. It kind of gives you like what to do. This is kind of how the Singapore math was set up, where it gives you the week and then what to do for that week. Posture and grip. So like I said, we're like this far into it and we're still it's still talking about how to teach handwriting. So it's very thorough. Okay, let's see. Okay, talking about developmental teaching, pencil, frog jump capitals, center starting capitals, number reviews. Have we already started? Let me see. I guess that is. Let me see. Sorry. Trying to figure. It's kind of when you're looking upside down. It's kind of. Okay, so lesson plan tells you what the direct instruction, the guided practice, to check the letters, the different objectives, all of that stuff. There's different enrichment that you can do down at the bottom. So that's kind of how the lessons look. Very thorough. This is one that I'm definitely going to want to read before we do the lesson. And it's not something where you can just pick it up. You really kind of want to look over at least like the week before. Look through what you're going to do for that week so you kind of have an idea. And then this is the Printing Power notebook. Table of contents, how to sit, and the capital letters, some little pencil activities. We start into the frog jump capitals. And so this one, it starts out, once again, kind of review, but then once you get to the end, you're doing a lot more copy work, which I like. You can tell that the lines are a little bit smaller. So that's the Printing Power Plus, and then the Kickstart Cursive. They have some activities to do to get them used to the motion of, you know, doing cursive. And they start out very basic with the kind of the pencil motions. he's really excited about starting cursive. He's a perfectionist though, so I'm a little nervous because I know cursive is something that takes a little bit of time to really get good at. So I'm hoping that he doesn't get too frustrated, but that's why I kind of went with the Kickstart, the smaller, shorter program before we jump into it full force. But anyway, that is my third grader's curriculum for the 2018-2019 school year. I'll probably mid-year come back and just let you all know how it's going, seeing if we got through anything quickly and added anything new. Let you all know that. But thanks for watching my video, and I will see you on my next video, the first grade curriculum. Take care. Bye.